So hey anime, the series name is What If Female Naruto Fell in Love with Sasuke? So let's start the series. The Sandaime could sense a headache a mile away, but he hasn't anticipated this in all his years of knowledge and experience. The village of the Hidden Leaf was attacked 5 years ago by a powerful demon known as the Kyuubi. During the days of battle, many men and women were killed. Eventually, the Yondaime gave his life to create a forbidden jutsu that sealed the Kyuubi in the body of a newborn baby, restoring peace and, albeit gruelingly, rebuilding Konoha. The Sandaime also came out of retirement to assist his village in moving on from this tragedy. However, the people of Konoha were incensed because life did not just go on after so many of their loved ones and friends were slaughtered senselessly, particularly since the Kyuubi was not actually dead. The Yondaime's initial goal when developing his jutsu was to completely destroy the Kyuubi, but he quickly realized that this approach was flawed because the Kyuubi is immortal in many senses of the word, so even in the exchange of his own life, the Kyuubi cannot be sealed to die. The equation simply does not balance out, and even the death god cannot kill something that cannot be killed. The only thing he could do was to seal the demon away from further harm and let him die naturally along with his host's body. The Kyuubi must be sealed inside a newborn child's body so that as the child grows and develops, the seal will only get stronger over time. The host, however, cannot be just anybody because the Kyuubi is a powerful being in terms of both power and persuasion. A being of this nature cannot be contained within a formed mind without the risk of it breaking free or driving the host insane. The Yondaime was aware of only one person at this time with whom he could entrust this difficult task, a baby whose mother had returned to the battlefield shortly after the baby was born, only to pass away hours later due to exhaustion and injuries, a baby doomed to a life of suffering and heartache since it would soon lose its father as well. This baby was Uzumaki Naruto, the fourth Hokage's daughter. The Yondaime had wished that his child would be regarded as a hero by his people and that she would receive love and support while growing up without a family, but this did not happen. Instead, the people of Konoha saw only the girl's possessed demon and harbored animosity only toward the fourth only heir. Only a small portion of the Konoha's elite were aware of the girl's true identity. The others only knew that the demon was sealed inside a baby and that the baby was currently in the Sandaime's care. The Sandaime side, so far, he has taken care of the girl, sheltering her from the hardships of her life, but soon, she will have to live alone once again, within the hatred of the people. It has been 5 years since the days of the Kyuubi. Naruto is now 5, she lives as any other girl, albeit lonelier. She knows that she is different. She could feel it in others' gazes, even her own personal caretakers. None of them ever said anything, but she knew. Yesterday was the first time she was attacked though. A small group of Rouge villagers has bought their way in through the Sandaime's cook, and sneaked their way into the estate by the back door in the kitchen. From there, they proceeded directly toward Naruto's room. They beat her, yelled at her and spat on her, but to them this was still not enough. They needed to humiliate this little girl and let her feel the suffering that they felt. Because to them, she was the Kyuubi. They tore at her clothes, despite the tears and screams of the 5-year-old girl, their anger driving them insane. They decided then that they would rape her, and they almost did. It was at this point that the Sandaime arrived with his elite guards. Within minutes, the men were defeated, but this event left a forever prominent scar. Though a girl, especially a despised girl, has little chance of surviving in the harsh world outside, the Sandaime knew he could not keep Naruto with him forever and that she would eventually have to live on her own. The villagers were aware of the child who held the Kyuubi, but they were unaware that the child was a girl and would remain unaware until she had gained enough knowledge to defend herself against the threats she faces. At that point, the Sandaime decided to put a henge on Naruto to make her look male. He would then seal the henge so that it fed off his chakra rather than the child's, allowing only he to release it when the time came. Naruto, who had been traumatized, agreed after being told this. Even at such a young age, she was aware of the threats and horrors she would face, and it scared her. Uzumaki Naruto, Yondaime's daughter, changed her name to Uzumaki Naruto, Yondaime's son, on that day. After 7 years as Naruto and Gaara engaged in combat, Uchiha Sasuke observed in barely disguised disbelief. Was this Naruto? Is he concealing anything else? He was startled out of his reverie, though, when he saw both lads fall to the ground, both of them still many feet below. His worry for his buddy overcame his first astonishment, and he jumped down to see how the blonde was doing. Nato! Are you all right? Sasuke moved to gently turn the blonde so that he lay on his back after confirming that he was still alive with a muffled moan from the boy. A quick glance revealed numerous cuts and bruises, but the Uchiha were unaware of the full extent of his injuries. Naruto's eyes suddenly sprung wide, and he bit his lip to contain any pain cries as tremors tore through his small frame. Naruto! What's wrong? Come on, talk to me. He managed to mumble, "Something's wrong with the Hokage," as his wide blue eyes gradually came into focus on Sasuke's dark ones. They were kilometers away from the Hokage. Did Naruto strike his head too hard? What? Said Sasuke, bewildered. The Hokage isn't here, Naruto. I'm sure he's fine. No. Sasuke, you don't understand. There's something wrong with Sandaime. I think Naruto's shaking grew more intense, and he was unable to finish his sentence as a scream ripped through his throat. Sasuke felt powerless and could only move to physically hold Naruto closer to himself in the hopes of stopping his shaking. Suddenly, the shaking stopped and the little blonde stopped making noises. Sasuke continued to hold the blonde, terrified that he would discover Naruto dead like everyone else in his life when he left. While he was gently rocking the blonde back and forth, Sasuke had a sneaking suspicion that something was wrong. Not only was Naruto's hair growing longer, but it also seemed to be shrinking, not in the sense that he would become a miniature version of himself, but rather that his body was getting thinner and more delicate. Naruto felt like a different person altogether. Shortly after he sensed the alterations, Sasuke heard a little voice whisper, "Sasuke," into his neck. Somehow, Naruto sounds and feels like a lady. There must be a rational reason for this. It took Sasuke a few more moments to understand that this was certainly not Naruto's voice. The voice he heard was gentle and melodic, but it sounded a little weak and exhausted. "Sasuke, let me go, I can't breathe." Once more, that voice. Sasuke slowly withdrew from the body he was holding, almost frightened to look down. He took a deep breath and frowned inwardly, saying, "I am a Uchiha, I am definitely not afraid to look at Naruto." When he finally looked down, his eyes met familiar bright blue ones, and he exhaled, thinking, of course this was still Naruto. What was he thinking? But a second glance forced him to reconsider. The girl in his arms has long blonde hair that reaches her lower back. Her blue eyes were questioning, and her soft pink lips pouted slightly as she took in Sasuke's gaze. "What are you looking at, Sasuke team?" The face belonged to a girl, and it was incredibly beautiful. Sasuke appeared to be less attractive. Yes, that is unquestionably a girl's body. He is currently holding a stunning blonde female who resembles Naruto in an odd way. "Sasuke, you bastard. My face is up here." At this moment, Sasuke's expressionless determination broke. His eyes widened and he gasped, Naruto? "Sasuke, you bastard. My face is up here." At this moment, Sasuke's expressionless determination broke. His eyes widened and he gasped, Naruto? Underscore 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 yes, last time I checked, said the blue eyes, looking back with a hint of perplexity. You are a girl. Yes, Sasuke, Naruto groaned, I was just too tired to deal with a shell-shocked Sasuke at this time. But you are a girl, damn it Sasuke, say something I don't already know, Naruto said, feeling irritated and a little less inclined to explain herself after having just battled a furious, angry sand demon. His rival's scathing comment appeared to finally shake Sasuke out of his daze. Shut up, Dobe, he said, adding that Naruto, or whatever her name was, would not defeat Uchiha Sasuke. Glad to, wake me up when we get back to Konoha. After making that final comment, Naruto finally gave in to her fatigue and passed out. A deep frown gradually developed on Sasuke's face as he blinked once more while glancing down at the sleeping blonde still resting in his arms. Naruto, wake up, Naruto. However, it appeared that Naruto had no plans to wake up anytime soon. Instead, she inadvertently tucked herself closer to her source of warmth. Sasuke struggled to suppress a flush. Oh no, my questions weren't finished. When Sasuke saw the unexpectedly calm face, he was unable to control his curiosity. I've known Naruto since the academy days, and he's always been a boy. He didn't know any henge techniques back then, so if this is him, then he must be a girl. However, if he is a boy, how in the world could he be a girl now? It wouldn't help him right now because the only person with answers is unconscious, and even a chakra monster like Naruto wouldn't be able to recover this quickly from the level of chakra deficiency that she is experiencing, so Sasuke struggled to keep his questions to himself and pushed them to the back of his mind. First and foremost, Sasuke must return Naruto to Konoha so that she can receive the appropriate care. Aside from her chakra deficiency, he was unable to determine whether she had any additional injuries, and her previous cries of pain were certainly not a sign of good health. Gaara was still asleep and might remain so for some time, but Sasuke could not risk leaving him alone, so he paused in his thinking and glanced past a few splintered trees where he lay. Sasuke, who was torn between his concern for his comrade and his obligation as a shinobi, had never been more happy to hear his sensei's languid greeting. Yo, a faint smile touched his lips. About time you showed up, Kakashi, he said. When Kakashi finally caught sight of his students, his eyes opened unexpectedly. Ah, I got lost on the Aro, is that Naruto? He asked. Sasuke replied, a little uneasy, apparently, did you know this? Did I know what? This, Naruto girl, thing, Sasuke explained, his eyes narrowing in annoyance. Yes, and you never thought to tell me. I thought we were a team, Kakashi-sensei. How can you keep something like this away from me, was said with a surge of rage. It wasn't my place to tell, Sasuke. Sasuke's rage instantly subsided at the sound of his teacher's soothing voice, but he had one more question. He is a girl, right? I mean, like a girl pretending to be a guy? Yes, oh, I see, Sasuke said, feeling a surge of protectiveness as he looked down at the sleeping bundle. What's her name? Can you tell me that much? Her name is Uzumaki Naruto. Only a few of the Konoha's elite knew this. She has been pretending to be a boy for the last 7 years. The third personally placed the henge seal on her, Kakashi said, stepping up and kneeling next to the sitting Uchiha after he resigned with a silent sigh. The third, Sasuke reflected. She said something about the third just a while ago. She was in a lot of pain, and I thought she was babbling at the time. Is the third all right? After pausing to gather his thoughts, Kakashi said, Sasuke. The Sandaime died fighting the enemy not more than half an hour ago. Then it dawned on Sasuke, died? That's why, she's a girl again? Because the Sandaime is the one who placed the seal, and now that he's gone, the seal is broken, Sasuke said, his eyes widening. But why? Why did she have to live as a boy? Kakashi nodded. There are evils in this world that are both incomprehensible and inhumane, said Kakashi, tensing at the question. You know that Naruto does not have a family, Sasuke said with a nod of agreement. You know that she is hated by many in this village, he said. Sasuke nodded once more, but he was unsure of why. Naruto may have been noisy and obnoxious, but she had never intentionally damaged anything in the village. He recalled asking his father, back in the early days of the academy, why this little blonde boy was always alone and despised. His questions about Naruto were pushed to the side when Itachi killed his family. His father told him to forget his questions and practice his kunai after noticing the same expression in his eyes as Kakashi's at the moment and telling him that some things are better left unsaid. Kakashi went on, sometimes, hate makes men do disgusting things, especially if the hate is toward a little girl. Sasuke felt his hold tighten around the blonde as a hint of confusion passed before he finally understood what Kakashi had meant. A barely restrained hatred flared in his mind, asking himself, is this what Naruto had to go through growing up? Is that what she conceals beneath a phony body and a corny smile? Is she concealing any more demons? Ma, you guys sure are slow. Sasuke was startled out of his thoughts by Kakashi's speech, and when he looked up, he saw 3 Umbu dropped around him from the forest's shadows. One of them, wearing a monkey mask, nodded at Kakashi and went to pick up the unconscious Gaara. Without saying anything, the Umbu vanished again in an instant. The enemy has retreated, they are heading back to the village. I think we should do the same, Kakashi said as he got up and walked toward a group of trees to the left. He returned a short while later holding Sakura in his arms and said, it doesn't look like she's gonna let you go anytime soon, so I guess you'll have to carry her back. He slowly got to his feet, carefully shifting the girl in his arms into a more comfortable posture. It's funny that he never realized how small she actually was. Sasuke could almost see the smile behind Kakashi's mask. Let's go. When Naruto woke up, it was sunny outdoors, and she felt completely miserable. She had never experienced such a depletion of her chakra before, and all she wanted to do was close her eyes and return to slumber. However, being Naruto, fate would not permit her to have her wish. Good to see you awake, she said as the door opened as she was closing her eyes, exposing her silver-haired teacher. His eyes widened in mild surprise before softening, and a smile could be seen even beneath his half-mask. Smiling sheepishly at her teacher, Naruto watched as humor poured into his eyes as she opened her mouth to say hello but nothing came out. She scowled at her recalcitrant voice and tried again, this time managing to create a little squeak. I never thought I would be able to see the day when you were speechless, he chuckled at her pout and helped her slowly get up. He then went to the bedside table and poured her a glass of water, saying, drink slowly. She sighed in satisfaction and nodded even as she drained the glass. Returning her glass to the jounin, she attempted to speak again and was successful this time, despite her voice being scratchy from lack of usage. How long have I been unconscious, Kakashi-sensei? 10 days, what? You got us a bit worried, usually you'd be up and running in half that time, but I think that probably just needed the time to get used to your new, or rather, old, body, Kakashi added, laughing once again at her wide-eyed belief. Naruto bowed her head, forgetting that she was no longer Uzumaki Naruto. Her mask had broken, exposing her vulnerability. How should she now confront everyone? How is she to deal with her friends' disdain and mistrust? Sasuke is already aware of it. Would Sasuke find her repulsive and a pitiful liar? Sasuke is her rival, teammate, and best friend, and as much as she hates to admit it, she values his opinion more than that of anyone else she knows. The hand on Naruto's shoulder broke her reverie, and she looked up with teary eyes to see her sensei's face. Don't worry, Naruto, everything will turn out okay. Friends are friends, Naruto, they will understand in the end, Kakashi remarked, stroking her hair tenderly. Kakashi paused and abruptly stood up again, saying, Ma, I should go now, still have things to take care of, thanks, Kakashi-sensei, a soft voice said as he was about to open the door. He turned to leave the room with a final wrinkled grin. With a lighter heart than it had been 10 minutes before, Naruto rested back against the headboard. Perhaps all will work out in the end. Her door crashed open, interrupting her thoughts. She looked up in shock to see Sasuke's face frozen in the doorway. They both just stared at one another for a while before she finally snapped out of her reverie and said, "Hi," was Sasuke's quiet response as he blinked before entering the room and shutting the door. "I saw Kakashi down the hallway, he told me you were awake," he said after clearing his mouth. "Would you like to sit?" she asked, nervously biting her lower lip as her teammate looked at her. After spotting the chair in the room's corner and stealthily moving it in front of the bed, Sasuke sat down. There was a little pause before he said, "How are you feeling?" "A bit tired, my muscles are all sore, kind of funny since I've been sleeping for 10 days apparently," Naruto said with a slight smile. "You look like shit, I'd slug your ass if I could move right now," Naruto pouted, giving him the most lethal gaze she was capable of at the time. The air became less tense as Sasuke grinned and said, "I'd like to see you try, dope." "Oh, you just wait until I get out of here, you are all talk." Uzumaki, fuming, Naruto turned to sulk at the wall after giving Sasuke one final lethal gaze. She froze, all ideas gone, and all she could utter was a squeaky, "Sasuke?" when she heard Sasuke's arms encircle her and then gently draw her into his hug. She responded with a gentle grunt as the arm tightened its hold on her back. "Are you fluffing up my pillows? You look like you were about to topple over. What idiot decided to leave you in that position anyways?" she sighed in frustration. Naruto finally relaxed into his grasp with a soft smile, shifting slightly and letting her head fall wearily into his chest. "You are not going to fall asleep on me again, are you?" Sasuke asked, pausing before moving on. He heard a faint laugh. "I'll try not to." Sasuke shifted once more and gently placed the girl on the freshly fluffed up pillows before pulling the blankets tightly around her petite body. When he looked back up, he saw that she was staring at him with an odd expression on her face. "What?" he asked. "I've never had anyone tuck me in before." A sudden wave of emotion swept through Sasuke's chest as he recalled Kakashi's statement from the forest 10 days prior. God, what kind of life has she had? Naruto has never experienced the happier days that he would always cherish, but he himself could still recall the bedtime stories from his childhood, his mother's cuisine, and his training with his father. "Thank you, for what?" Sasuke asked, looking at her face in confusion as his thoughts were interrupted. "For caring," it was the brightest smile he had ever seen her give him. A smile tugged at Sasuke's lips. "You are welcome, Naruto," he said. Underscore 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 underscore. Would you stop squirming? Shut up, Sasuke, this is all your fault. The day after Naruto's awakening, the two were slowly leaving the Konoha hospital in the direction of the memorial. Sasuke had spent the previous day talking to her and updating her on the major events in Konoha while she was unconscious, and Naruto was devastated to learn that the Sandaime had actually died in the battle with the Sound. She had missed his funeral 5 days earlier, and after much pleading and begging, the doctor had finally agreed to let her go the following day, but only if someone came to pick her up because she was still quite weak. The following morning, Sasuke was silently berating his own frailty while he held her by the waist and supported her as they walked slowly, while she was frantically tugging at her trousers. "Couldn't you have gotten me some clothes that fit?" "Those are the smallest I have," Sasuke calmly responded, sighing at his inevitable fate. And they are all black. Why didn't you get me my own clothes? Because, Dobe, I don't have the keys to your apartment, and I didn't think you'd want me busting your door down just to get you a shirt, Naruto sulked. And besides, it's not like your own clothes would fit much better. You are even smaller now than before, you calling me short. Yes, I'm gonna kick your ass, Sasuke. Sure, but let's wait until you can stand on your own, okay? Fine, complained Naruto. And what's with your fascination with my ass anyways? You mention it at least 5 times every conversation we have, Sasuke said with a slight smirk on his lips. Astonished, Naruto exclaimed, "WW what? Keep moving, will you?" I'd like to get to the memorial sometime today, said Sasuke, rolling his eyes and laughing to himself at Naruto's look. After fuming and imagining 100 ways to beat up the Uchiha next to her, Naruto allowed a cunning smile to appear on her face and said, "Hey Sasuke, can you take me shopping later?" He looked at her face and said, "No, but you said it yourself, I have no clothes that fit." "Go on your own, but I can't even stand on my own yet. How am I supposed to manage a whole shopping excursion?" "So go later. You do realize, Sasuke, that I am currently standing in your shirt and your pants with no bra and no underwear," Naruto said, raising an elegant eyebrow before launching into the big guns. As she saw his eyes widen, she congratulated herself in private. "Why do you think I keep trying to pull up these pants? I was serious when I said I have nothing to wear," she said. "Not my problem," Sasuke said, clearing his throat as he struggled to contain his blush as he felt Naruto's soft body rub against his side, and he found himself quickly scanning her body. *T, she was serious, he said. After scowling, Naruto made one final attempt and said, "Please, Sasuke ko-owen." Sasuke was unable to contain his scowl this time. "Bloody hell, don't ever do that again," he said. "So we are going shopping?" she said, smiling. "Whatever," she chuckled. Underscore 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 underscore. Unbeknownst to Sasuke and Naruto, 2 silent people stood by the side of the road. They gazed at the scene without blinking, and it wasn't until many minutes later that one of them said, "Was that Uchiha Sasuke? With a hot blonde chick attached to him? Wearing his clothes? With no bra? Damn," Blink said. Let's go tell Hinata, Shino, Kiba, and Shino." Then hurried to the training fields, eager to tell others about the show they had just seen. And, as they say, bad things are going to happen. Sasuke remained a few feet behind Naruto, silently allowing her room as she stood in front of the memorial, her eyes looking blankly at the recently inscribed name while her thoughts wandered over her recollections. She didn't speak for several minutes. The faint smirk at the corner of her lips turned into a frown as she sighed, saying, "That was stupid, old man, really stupid. I mean, I knew there wasn't too much in that perverted mind of yours, but did you really have to prove me right? You could at least wait until my whole personality issue was sorted out before kicking the bucket, but no, Naruto was on her own for this one," she said. Naruto spun around and gave Sasuke the dirtiest look she could manage before turning back to the memorial after he made an odd noise in the back of his throat that sounded disturbingly like a stifled snicker behind her. She pouted and then fell silent again. Something strange went by behind her eyes, and she stepped forward, lightly tracing the carved name. "Well, at least you waited until I beat that Gaara kid. You should have seen me. I kicked some major ass there," she said, her hand stilling. She bowed her head, letting her hair cover her face once more. She was silent when she spoke again. I just want to say thank you. I know I'd be dead a long time ago if it weren't for you, so I'd like to thank you for caring when nobody else did, and that you were a great Hokage, Sandame, she said. She stayed there for a few more seconds before finally backing away. But just you watch, old man, I am going to be the greatest Hokage Hanaha has seen yet. I promise, she said with a huge foxy smile on her face as she raised her head again. She said, let's go, Sasuke. Time to go shopping, as she turned around. Are you sure you are up to it? He asked, grinning, as he stepped forward to gently take her arm. You are not getting out of it that easily, Naruto said with a graceful eyebrow raise. Almost rolling his eyes, Sasuke said, just thought you'd be tired. Nah, I'm up for it if you are, let's go then. They reached the middle of the field when they noticed a tiny figure approaching them from a distance. Naruto stopped, her eyes widening in shock before settling for a barely disguised look of worry, while Sasuke scowled in bewilderment. He had seen that child before, but he couldn't remember the name. The boy crept closer, buried in his own thoughts, and didn't notice anyone until they were right in front of him. His head dropped once again, and he walked around the two without a word. Konohamaru, the child paused and then turned back to face the unfamiliar girl. She was familiar but unusual, dressed in men's clothes that were too big for her. If he recalled properly, she was with a dark-haired lad who was the Uchiha prodigy. Silently, do I know you? He answered. No hello for your leader, she said, her eyes softening. As he examined the face before him, Konohamaru's eyes crinkled in bewilderment. Then, as if in sudden awareness, his eyes brightened, and he exclaimed, Naruto Niken, in the most animated voice he had displayed in days. The blonde nodded and grinned, delighted to be identified. But, why are you in your sexy no jutsu form? Her smile disappeared as she groaned and turned to face her dark-haired companion. She gave him a slight nod and a confident expression before releasing his hand from her arm and stepping forward to face Konohamaru. I'm not using my sexy no jutsu, huh? Konohamaru, I'm going to tell you something that'll probably really surprise you, but I need you to listen to me, okay? Let me finish explaining, she said with a slight nod. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, but you know me as Naruto, because I've been living at Naruto for the last 7 years of my life. Konohamaru's face took on a shocked and perplexed expression, and Naruto could practically feel the barrage of inquiries approaching, so she went on. I was born a girl, 7 years ago. Some really bad men tried to hurt me, and there's a big chance that they'll come after me again, so the Sandane decided to put a henge seal on me, to hide me and to protect me. The seal allowed the henge to draw chakra from him, since I didn't know to use chakra back then, and he could also modify the henge accordingly over time. When the Hokage died, the seal was broken, and that's why I'm a girl again. There was silence for a while. Oh? That's it! Naruto exclaimed, his mouth dropping. Huh? Aren't you going to freak out and be like, you betrayed me, Naruto? I'll never trust you again. Should I? No. So why are you mad? Naruto was unable to speak. With his missing front tooth, Konohamaru gave her a little smile and said, You are funny, Naruto-nichan, ne-chan? Naruto stammered out as her eyes widened. You are a girl, right? So it's ne-chan, unless you like Nii-chan better? No, ne-chan's fine, okay. Naruto couldn't help but question, why aren't you mad, as she gazed down at the still smiling face. His expression changed to one of bewilderment. Huh? I mean, I thought you'd be angry that I lied to you. Oh, Konohamaru said, scratching his head sheepishly as it dawned on him. You are my leader, and, well, Ji-chan is the one who put the henge on you, so it's not like you did it on purpose, he said. Yeah, Naruto said, feeling both relieved and moved by his straightforward response. I gotta go, Naruko-nichan, I'll see you later, Konohamaru said, fidgeting a little over the quiet. Then he turned and went in the direction of the memorial. He saved my life, Naruko exclaimed as she watched him leave in solitude and introspection. Her eyes suddenly widened in recognition. He turned and asked in silence, Hokage-sama, he saved my life with the henge seal, he saved a lot of people, Konohamaru, she said with a smile. After a moment of staring at her with feelings in his eyes, he smiled and said, thanks Ne-chan. He gave one more wave before turning and sprinting toward the memorial with renewed energy. With a faint smile on her lips, Naruko watched him leave. With a sigh, she leaned back against Sasuke, who had approached from behind following Konohamaru's departure. They moved slowly along in a friendly silence. Why do you do that? Said Sasuke a few minutes later. Do what? She said in sincere perplexity. Expect others to not understand, expect others to leave you. I don't know, she said, but she knew that, despite the fact that her thinking is a little distorted, she couldn't stop it with willpower alone because it stems from years of neglect and loneliness. No matter how many times she assured herself that her friends were real and would always be there for her, she would always harbor that doubt. Perhaps in time, that doubt would go away. Did you doubt me? No, this is how things are between them. They fight like cats and dogs, but they also trust each other, so she knows that no matter what, Sasuke has her back because this is the way of their camaraderie. It doesn't matter who they are or what they do, they just accept. If Sasuke tells her tomorrow that he feels the urge to become a woman, she'll probably laugh her ass off, but she'll also accept him, she'll always accept him. Her response was quick, almost instinctive, but she can honestly say that it is the truth. Why not? Because, she didn't say, and he didn't press her. Instead, they just kept walking, allowing silence to rule their conversation for once. Since you are Sasuke, I think you should go home and rest. Damn it, Sasuke, I told you, I'm perfectly fine. Stop being so stubborn, use your Itanki, say it again to my face, bastard. I said, stop being so wait. Sasuke, what's wrong? The fact that Sasuke stopped mid-sentence and was now staring blatantly into the distance with a tense look on his face is a little alarming, but Naruko was not surprised to see her dark-haired companion staring off into the distance. Looking in the same direction, she could only make out some blurs that she assumed were people. They were on the edge of one of Konoha's most popular training grounds. What is it, Sasuke? Who do you see? With his eyes going back to darkness, Sasuke blinked at the constant prodding on his arm. Let's take the shortcut into town, didn't you say you want to go shopping, he said, glancing down at the blonde. As she attempted to shake free the arm around her waist that was guiding her out of the training area, Naruko yelled, Hey! You didn't answer my question. Would you just listen to me for once, Dobe? Come on, not until you tell me what's going on, let me go, idiot. Damn it, Naruko, move your little blonde ass. Hands off, Uchiha, I'll get you for that comment later, but my pants are going to fall off. Then you better get up and start walking, 'cause I'm not letting go until we are away from here, Sasuke-kun. The pair halted in the middle of their battle, and two heads slowly turned to look at Sakura's staring face in front of them. Behind her, the other 9 rookies plus guys squad stood, all of them wearing the same expressions of awe, perplexity, and varying degrees of hatred. Hold on, disgust? In an effort to stop the Uchiha, Naruko chose to drop to the ground, but she ended up kneeling because the arm holding her up had pulled her shirt too high for comfort. Sasuke's other hand was now gripping the fabric around her shoulders as he attempted to force her back up, and Naruko had her arms wrapped around each of Sasuke's legs to prevent him from moving. All in all, they created a dangerous image. I know your girlfriend is hot and all, Sasuke, but try to keep it in the bedroom? As soon as Sasuke leaped back away from her, Naruto let out her loudest and most girly scream to date and released him. He landed lightly on his feet a few meters away, but she fell to the grass due to the absence of support. Ow, are you alright? Sorry about that, didn't mean to be so rough, Sasuke said as he hurried forward once more and knelt down next to the blonde. He helped her gently back into a sitting posture. I'm fine, I think I overdid it a bit though, I forgot how sore I was with the adrenaline going. You shouldn't say things like that, Kiba, I think it's wonderful that they are in the springtime of their love. Sasuke turned his head to face their forgotten audience, and as he saw the glowering faces, he suddenly recalled how unkempt they had looked. He drew Naruto's rumpled shirt back down, scowling at Kiba's sneering grin. Neji and Shikamaru narrowed their eyes at the Uchiha symbol that was visible on the back of the blatantly male shirt, but their eyes softened when the girl turned around and smiled sheepishly. Although they were certain they had never seen her before, she looked remarkably familiar, and her smile was oddly comforting. At last, Sakura addressed the question that was on everyone's mind, Sasuke-kun, who is she? Her voice was quiet, and her eyes showed a hint of hurt. Inside, Sakura was furiously angry at the outrage of it all. Yeah, Sasuke-kun, is she your girlfriend? Ino exclaimed, mentally cursing, damn it, I would have tried harder if I knew he was into blondes with blue eyes. Why is she wearing your shirt? And why were you all over each other? Kiba-kun, you shouldn't ask that, sorry, Hinata, you could have warned me, Naruto said, her eyes widening like a deer in headlights as she turned slowly to face Sasuke. He looked back at her and said, I did, no you didn't, move your little blonde ass doesn't count. What do you want me to say? How about every Konoha genin you know is standing right across that field, and we better move it unless you want to get into some deep shit. You have no appreciation for subtlety, you call what you did subtlety? Shut up, use your Itanki, make me, you bastard. Their outburst was cut short by a loud cough, and they turned back to face the other genins before becoming quiet again. Shikamaru merely narrowed his eyes in response to Chuji's not-so-quiet mutter, is it just me, or was that conversation strangely familiar? Naruto sensed that they were watching her. A fleeting glance verified this. Neji, standing stoically next to his teammates, has not taken his eyes off of her once. Shino was holding a Kekai bug in front of his face, listening intently while sending her discreet looks behind his sunglasses. Kiba was kneeling next to Akamaru, who was barking excitedly. Kiba frowned at anything his beloved dog said, taking a few tentative sniffs in her general direction and widening his eyes in surprise. She felt a chill run down her spine as she slowly met those glittering eyes. The eyes squinted, Byakugan. She recoiled in shock and was steadied by Sasuke's hand on her shoulder. What is going on, Naruto? What? What are you talking about, Neji? Neji ignored the squeals and shouts surrounding him and stared at her again, waiting for his response. His eyes grew even more menacing when he saw the Byakugan's protruding veins. So our noses aren't wrong after all, Akamaru, my Kekai told me the same thing. How troublesome, Naruto. What the hell do you think you are doing? Prancing around Sasuke-kun in that stupid sexy no jutsu form, does he even know it's you? Change back. I can't believe I didn't see it before. Slightly offended by her charges, Naruto turned to face her irate pink-haired partner. She bit her lower lip without responding, feeling Sasuke tighten his hold on her shoulder. It's not a henge, eh? The Hyuga prodigy caught everyone's attention once more. He went on to say, she's not using any chakra. The only reason that I recognize that it's Naruto is due to his unique chakra system, letting his Byakugan fade away before continuing, or her unique chakra system, I don't know which is true at this point. The news caused everyone to scowl. Sakura turned to examine the blonde, who appeared to be quite similar to Naruto's sexy no jutsu form, but she also had some notable differences. Her body was smaller, almost delicate, but she could see the lean muscles on her stomach and back from her previous wrestling match with Sasuke. Her curves were also less pronounced, and her long blonde hair was loose and falling down her back. Hinata summoned her own bloodline limit, the Yakugan, in silence. After observing the blonde for a short while, she also brought her eyes back to normal. "It's true, as far as I can tell, Naruto is a girl right now," she said. Out loud, Tenten asked, "But how is that possible?" The couple on the ground caught everyone's attention once more. They stood up slowly, with Sasuke remaining silent next to her and placing a supportive hand on her lower back. "You are both right," she said. "My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and I am a girl. For the past 7 years, I have been living as Uzumaki Naruto, whom you all know. We are the same person, but this is my true form." The other genins' mouths fell open, and some of them spoke up. The Hokage gave her this version of the story 7 years ago when she first transformed into Naruto. "You can ask your questions now," she said, finishing the prepared story that only contained half of the truth. "Wait. Please let me finish first before you ask any questions," she continued, seeing no resistance. 7 years ago, some men tried to kill me. The Sandaime had reasons to believe that they will come after me again. A henge seal was used to change my appearance, in hopes that I would become less susceptible to further attacks. The seal was broken when the Sandaime died, returning me to my own form," she said. Shoji held up a hand. "Yes, Shoji? You are 100% girl? With 2 X chromosomes and everything? Cool, thanks, Shoji," Naruto said with a small laugh, turning to face an ecstatic Kiba and a barking Akamaru. "Yeah?" she asked. He got some laughs when he said, "You make a freakin' hot girl, man." Her cheeks flushed. Thanks, Kiba," and Sasuke grimaced next to Naruto. "What are you laughing at?" "I'm serious." "Don't you think so, Hinata?" Hinata looked at her feet as her blush darkened even more than Naruto's. "Oh, Kay, you are with me on this, right, Shino?" Naruto gave Shikamaru an appreciative glance after he cleared his throat loudly, diverting everyone's focus from the ongoing discussion. "So, Naruto, is it? Will you stay a girl from now on?" he asked. "I think so. I mean, I'm a shinobi now, so I can protect myself, and it would be kind of pointless, since it's not exactly a secret anymore." "I see. And what are the chances of these people going after you again?" "Honest, I don't know. The Hokage wasn't very forthcoming in his explanations 7 years ago, but I guess he thought that it was risky enough to keep the seal on for all these years. But I'm a lot stronger now, like I said before, so I wouldn't worry too much," Naruto thought, not exactly a lie, but some omission of the truth. The people who had attacked her 7 years ago were long gone, but as long as she still possesses the Kyuubi, there will always be a certain amount of danger. Shikamaru nodded. Her response was ambiguous, but he wasn't expecting a lot of specifics because the whole situation was already odd. In fact, it appeared like a massive conspiracy, but it would be too much hassle for him to deal with. Ino started to voice a question but stopped when she noticed Sakura approaching her teammates. She scowled at her pink-haired friend's solemn expression, realizing that things could turn messy. Sakura came to a stop in front of Naruto. They exchanged glances for a short while before turning to face Sasuke silently. "How long have you known about this?" "Since the fight with Gaara. Why didn't you tell me?" "We are teammates after all, it wasn't my place to tell." "Fair enough." She looked back to Naruto, examining her once more. Before it could be noticed, a moment of vulnerability flashed behind Naruto's eyes and was replaced by a recognizable crinkled smile. "Sakura-chan, what's with the look?" "It's kind of scary." Sakura's eyes became stony. The area was filled with the sound of a booming smack. This scene caused the other genin's eyes to expand, and some of them gasped in amazement. Sakura. He snarled as he stepped forward, clearly agitated. Sasuke, he paused at the quiet voice next to him, felt a warm hand clutch his own balled fist, and felt some of the tension release. He reluctantly allowed her to draw him away. Lowering her head and concealing her eyes from view, Naruto let go of Sasuke and awaited the onslaught she knew was imminent. She was not let down. When are you going to stop this act? This fake cheesy smile and that loud obnoxious voice, I hate it. When are you going to stop lying to us? Naruto remained silent. If the Hokage didn't die, would you have kept on with this facade? Yes, Sakura let a sneer creep onto her face as she said, You, Uzumaki Naruto, or Naruko, or who the hell you say you are the most pathetic person I know. I've wondered why you were always alone, why everyone hated you. Now I know, you were just a loud, obnoxious lie, a pathetic mistake. How can you expect us, me, to trust you when everything about you has been a lie? Sakura's eyes darkened even more with a flurry of emotions. Hey, Sakura, maybe you should think about this a little more. Take a breather or something. Shut up, Ino. Ino sputtered in embarrassment and started to respond, but stopped when she saw Sakura's piercing gaze. In all the years she's known Sakura, she's never seen her this way, even when she's angry. Although Sakura has never been the most composed, her demeanor has always been largely surface level, so this was like a different person. When Ino entered Sakura's head, she was momentarily reminded of the preliminary exams at the Chunin exams. Perhaps this was the darker Sakura that was always concealed in the back of her own mind. The girl with the pink hair turned back to face her blonde teammate. All this time, when you bothered me, asked me out on dates, was that all an act too? Yes, you bitch. Did you think it was funny? Hey, let's be as annoying as possible and mess with Sakura's fucking mind. Let's make her life a living hell. She said, maintaining a nasty smirk when her laughing subsided. Shut up, Sakura. No, Sasuke, I want to hear this. Sakura hesitated for a moment, but her rage returned with a vengeance as Naruto lifted her head, her blue eyes frozen and expressionless as she stared directly into angry green ones. Never thought you were a masochist, but then again, I guess I didn't know you at all, she said, turning to face the furious Uchiha. Observing the faint smirks of red that appeared in his normally dark eyes, Sakura felt her jaws tighten. Did you think you've won? Were you laughing inside? How did you do it, Naruto? You knew how I felt about Sasuke-kun. I have no words to describe you. Did you just take off your clothes like the slut you are? Use a genjutsu on him? What? What did you do to make him look at you? What the fuck did you do? Sakura asked. The corner of Naruto's mouth formed a little grin. There's the line I've waiting for. Sakura squinted her eyes. You can yell and scream all you want, Sakura, but it was never about me. It was always about Sasuke, Naruto said with a little laugh. No, it wasn't. Shut up and let me finish. With a chill running down her spine, Sakura made the sensible decision to remain silent. Something unreadable was burning in those blue eyes. You want to know how I knew that? Because he's all you ever cared about, but you were right, Sakura, the whole thing was an act. The smirk broadened. I acted the way I was told to act. I acted the way I had to act, because I was an idiotic 13-year-old boy, but you felt good about it, didn't you? Deep down, your ego liked it, you liked the praises and the attention, and you can't handle the fact that it was a lie. Her deep breathing was audible in the stillness. She gathered herself. I'm sorry for being annoying, Sakura, and I'm sorry for lying, but I don't regret it. Do you want to know why? She didn't say anything, because it kept me alive. You want to know who I really am? I am a lie, a mistake, an abomination. I didn't say that, maybe not, but it doesn't matter to me. nothing I haven't heard before. Take a good, hard look at me, Sakura, and listen to this. Be glad I worn a mask, because you can't handle the truth. Sakura gasped when she felt the raw, old anguish for the first time after Naruto closed her eyes and lost herself for a moment to the monsters in her head. You think I made your life hell, Sakura? Try living mine. After a few feet, she turned around and said, by the way, I never touched Sasuke. He lent me the shirt when he visited me at the hospital. We are friends, Sakura. I hope you at least understand that, before stopping. Sasuke started to pursue her as she kept walking away. I need some alone time right now. Don't follow me, please. I'll take you home, and you can have as much alone time as you want there, Sasuke said after pausing in his stride. Naruto glanced in his direction and gave him a quick smile. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. The original was immediately surrounded by 10 Kage Bunshins, and all 11 identical duplicates dashed into the forest in various directions. Shit, twirling Sharinganskes met Byakugans as Sasuke turned back to face the other Genins, and a consensus was reached. Did you see where the real one went? They crowded together and dispersed too fast, Neji said with a sly smile, shaking his head and allowing the protruding veins to disappear. Kage Bunshin, the only thing my Byakugan can't catch, should have expected this from her, he said. I have to find her, the Kage Bunshins will disappear soon, I'm going to need your help, Sasuke said, nodding and letting his own Sharingans fade away. Neji confirmed with a nod. Hinata said, I'll look for her too, I can probably help a little. Alright. Then I'm in too, me and Akamaru will find her in a second. Che, how troublesome, I'll look too, but I'm just wondering, why do you have to find her this fast? I mean, if she wants some time alone to think, there's nothing wrong with that, Tenten said. She just spent the last week and a half in the hospital, she could barely walk on her own. I don't know how she managed the Kage Bunshins in her condition, but I need to find her before she does anything even more stupid, Sasuke sighed, understanding that he needed to explain his intentions before they began their hunt for Naruto. That bad? Yeah, she was so messed up she was in a coma for 10 days, she just woke up yesterday. This remark caused my eyes to widen. Kiba asked, then how is she walking around? I was helping her, Sasuke said quickly, letting out another impatient sigh. But what? Well, you two just seemed close. We are friends, friends help each other, and we are teammates, of course we are close, Sasuke muttered, holding back his scathing comment. Realizing his misunderstanding, Kiba remained silent. He had spent at least half an hour speculating about Sasuke's new girlfriend to the other Konoha Genins before they arrived at the training grounds. He had observed the jealous looks from some of the girls and was even more amused by their obvious flirtation and intimacy, not to mention that Naruto was wearing Sasuke's clothes. However, he didn't think Sakura would react this way. He made a mental note to apologize to Naruto later and prepared for the impending search. I think we should split up to cover more ground, meet back here every hour to check in with your progress, that okay? Everyone nodded in agreement, and just as Sasuke was about to go, a tiny voice interrupted him. Sasuke-kun, what is it? He asked, his body tensing in rage, but he pushed his own disinterested mask on. I don't have time for this right now. After saying, look, you can say whatever you want to say later, he resumed his stroll. Wait, Sasuke-kun. I just... Sakura, he said, turning his head to face her with those icy, cunning eyes and a sneer of cruelty at the corner of his lips. She detested that expression. You are annoying, she said. I don't even want to look at you right now, he said as he turned back from her and kept moving away. As Sakura watched him disappear into the trees, the rage that had before motivated her vanished, leaving behind just remorse and shame. She felt tears welling up in her eyes. Sakura, I thought you left with Shikamaru and them, she replied, looking up with teary eyes. No, I'm supposed to be at the flower shop in 40 minutes. Oh, let's get some ice cream, big forehead girl, Ino said, observing her friend's distraught expression. She had never imagined Sakura to feel that passionately for Sasuke, even though she disapproved of her behavior. Underscore 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 underscore. About 15 minutes walk from the town, he discovered her leaning against the wall of a small cave. The area was covered in dense vegetation, and not many people, whether training or not, frequented this area of the forest. The cave's mouth was also hidden by dense undergrowth, making it extremely challenging to locate. 2 hours and 20 minutes, she said, opening her eyes from where she was lying on the ground and giving him a small smile. Not my best time, he said with a sly smile as he sat down next to her. That made her laugh. How did you find me? She said. Her response was a raised eyebrow. Right, stupid question, she said with a roll of her eyes. After a little period of stillness, he said, Kiba had you for a while, oh? He gave her a shrewd look and said, Didn't think you'd try that hard before he came across a river and lost your scent, she grumbled. Figured Sasuke would get all you guys on a manhunt. Is it too much to ask for a little peace and quiet? Knowing that she didn't anticipate a response to her rhetorical inquiry, he didn't respond. I just needed to clear my head, I kind of lost it back there for a second. I'm afraid of losing control, she said again after a brief pause. She leaned her head back against the wall and closed her eyes. I used to come here just to think, to isolate myself, I guess. Haven't needed to do that in a while though, she said. He looked at her for a moment, her long hair cascading over her shoulders and framing her face like a halo, her long lashes falling softly onto her cheeks, and his eyes moving over the whisper like scars, wondering for a moment why they were there. She had pulled her knees close to her body and wrapped her arms around her legs, and he suddenly realized that, sitting there in oversized clothes, she looked vulnerable, like a child. When she played the role of Naruto, she would constantly run around, playing pranks, but he only found that to be amusingly annoying. However, now that he was sitting here, he finally realized how deep her mask ran. Did she ever allow herself to be a real child? Or was all of that also an act? Instead, he turned to face the wall across from her. On some levels, he understood her feelings. Despite their differences, they shared the same pain, anguish, and loneliness. They both grew up too quickly. However, that was the life of a shinobi, as well as that of their parents, grandparents, and possibly their offspring. He shook his head and forced himself to stop thinking along these lines. He will live his life as he sees fit and will make his own decisions. He has a choice now. She taught him that, Naruto, yeah, she said as she opened her eyes. You are falling asleep. No, I'm not. You want to go home now? He asked, raising an eyebrow before deciding to end the fight because he will not argue with youngsters who are too young. I wanted to go home an hour ago, she pouted. Why didn't you? He said, blinking. She gave him a serious look and said, Don't laugh, what? Just promise you won't laugh at me. Alright, I can't get up, really? His eyes widened. Naruto isn't the kind to concede defeat. Yeah, she laughed. I think I used up all of my adrenaline reserve today or something. I made it up once, took 2 steps, and fell on my ass. I'm not surprised. With your outrageous display with Uchiha earlier, shut up, that was embarrassing. He gave her a smile. Naruto's mouth fell wide as she froze, blinking quickly a few times to clear her vision before continuing to gape at him. What? His smile vanished. You smiled. So? So, you've never smiled at me before? Yes, I have. No, you smirk, raise your eyebrow, roll your eyes, and then smirk some more. You don't smile, he frowned. Hey Niji, she said, prodding his arm. What? Do it again. The slightest fraction caused the corners of his lips to lift. That made her chuckle. I think you need some sleep. You are acting weirder than usual. Let's get you home, he said, letting out a sigh before getting up. And how am I supposed to get home, Hyuga? You are going to crawl, how else? What? Niji said, I'm going to carry you, idiot, while rolling his eyes. She gave him a fierce look. No retort? I'm stopping myself from insulting you since you are technically doing me a favor. He chuckled at that and then knelt next to her. Can you carry me piggyback style? She requested as his arm wrapped around her back. He stopped what he was doing and asked, Piggyback? She gave him a toothy smile in return. He let out a sigh and accepted his terrible destiny. Thanks Niji, she muttered as she lifted her drowsy head from his shoulder 10 minutes later as they were slowly walking down the narrow route into town. He grinned. Go back to sleep, Naruto. Ignoring the curious looks behind her, Naruto hurried quickly down Konoha Street toward the hospital while tinkering with the Hokage necklace, a new anxious habit she had developed. You didn't have to chase me all over Konoha. I would have headed toward the hospital eventually. He's my teammate, was Naruto's straightforward response as she paused in the middle of her step before moving forward without looking back. Sasuke? Naruto said, pausing after taking a few more steps. She then turned to face Tsunade and grinned sheepishly, adding, and Kakashi-sensei of course, she said with a smirk on the corner of her lips. After a brief glance at the new Hokage, Naruto pouted adorable ally at the playful glance. Unusually quiet for once, she proceeded at an even faster pace than before. With a knowing grin at the dwindling figure before her, the sixth Hokage accelerated her pace to catch up. Underscore 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 Naruto paused at a simple wooden door, her hand resting on the handle. The person behind that door was Sasuke. Her fingers gripped the chilly metal tightly, her knuckles whitened from the strain. She was truly a moron. The thought darkened her cheeks. To her, who was Sasuke? At one point, their fierce rivalry was all that kept her going. He served as a diversion from her inner demons and kept her focused on her goal of becoming stronger in the Hokage. He reminded her that she wasn't doing this alone and that she wasn't the only one. They fought like cats and dogs, and he had the unique ability to enrage her just by being around. Naruto exhaled nervously. What a cruel notion. She was always the dark sheep growing up, loud, obnoxious, and able to light up any room with her cheerful disposition. However, how much of that was actually her? Sasuke was a born genius, revered by everyone, calm, reserved, and physically kept himself away from others. He radiated an inner intensity that was not seen but felt. She wore a happy mask that went so deep she could no longer tell what was real and what was fake, and she kept all of her anger, hurt, and fear locked up in a cage that she almost forgot existed. Even their coping mechanisms were different. Sasuke kept people at a distance because he was afraid of people getting closer, and underneath his icy exterior and his pretense of control, his emotions ran wild. It is difficult to see them as anything more than acquaintances if they had lived any other life except their own, yet their suffering and loneliness served as a kind of conduit, an invisible thread that held them together. Thus, a terrible, cruel part of her was relieved that Sasuke had the same suffering that she did and that he had nothing and no one to grow up with because, at least now, she had him. However, she nearly messed that up, didn't she? She was nervous when she woke up in her own apartment the day after Niji brought her home because she had been so close to losing it the day before. She had never allowed her demons to escape their careful confinement, and she felt safe under the shell of Uzumaki Naruto, but now that he was gone, she was vulnerable again, lost again, unprepared, and in need of more time. Therefore, she seized the first opportunity she came across. It was fortunate that Ero-sen arrived with a mission, and she packed everything without saying a word or giving it any consideration. She left because she was a coward, a selfish coward, and however he pursued her, she was actually pursued by that moron. He is now unconscious and laying behind this door, which may be worse. Additionally, Uchiha Itachi, that man, he evoked a dark side in Sasuke, disrupting the already brittle self-control he possessed. The expression in his eyes, the anger, Sasuke's eyes never lied, despite his seeming indifference. The meticulously constructed shell has crumbled around him, leaving behind nearly unidentifiable remnants. It's premature, she fears that he will lose himself, and she fears that she will lose him as well. Because she might be the only person who truly comprehended the extent of his wounds, those unsightly, gushing scars that never healed. Is this Sasuke's room? Naruto was roused from her slumber by the sound of Tsunade's voice. Yeah, she said softly. Aren't you going in? Ignoring the need to simply turn around and flee, Naruto nodded silently, forced her inner struggle to the back of her mind, and hurriedly opened the door. Her eyes hardened in resolve. Uzumaki Naruto was not frightened of anything. She started to yell his name, but her voice became stuck in her throat. Naruto? Sakura-chan, she said as her head whipped toward the sound's origin and her eyes softened after widening just a bit. Before pushing them aside, she was overcome with memories of their most recent talk. Now is not the time, she said. She noticed a daffodil arrangement on the table, past the pink-haired figure sitting by the hospital bed. Some of the petals were rustic and on the verge of withering, but others were still fresh and fragrant. A moment of emotion flashed behind her eyes. Have you been here every day? Sakura's only response to the inquiry was to tilt her head and gaze at the still figure on the bed for a moment. Her bloodshot green eyes were filled with weariness, longing, and worry. I brought someone, she'll be able to help Sasuke and Kakashi-sensei, Naruto said, smiling hesitantly. Sakura said, she can help Sasuke? With a hint of hope in her voice after finally recognizing the figure at the door. Of course she can. She's one of the legendary Sannin, Tsunade, and she is also the new Hokage, said Naruto, nodding and speaking with a phony sense of excitement. Sakura's wide-eyed expression of awe was met with a smile by Tsunade, who then moved up and said, "Let me take a look at him," without raising any questions. Sakura hurried from the bed to stand behind Naruto, watching in awe as the newest Hokage covered Sasuke's forehead with her palm, which was glowing with chakra. During a tense moment, the only sound coming from the room's occupants was their breathing. Then, a figure on the bed moaned quietly, his lashes flooding against his pale skin and his frown deepening. Slowly, a pair of ebony eyes opened, blurry with lack of focus. Tsunade took a step back from the hospital bed after carefully removing her hand, the blazing chakra dimming to nothing as she looked up at the two females. Additionally, a spell was broken. Naruto exhaled a breath she was unaware she was holding, and her body relaxed in apparent relaxation. She observed him, observing his features as his eyes gradually scanned his surroundings. Their gazes briefly locked. Sasuke-kun. As Sakura virtually sprinted to Sasuke's side, a pink blur passed past her peripheral vision. She threw her arms around him and sobbed into his chest in relief. Sasuke, who was still confused, stared down at the pink mess of hair with a puzzled expression on his face. He awkwardly gave her a comforting pat on the head. Naruto turned aside. She thought she was interrupting someone's private time, but wasn't this a positive thing? They were her teammates, and their happiness meant the world to her. Sakura has liked Sasuke for as long as she can remember, and she would do anything for him, give him anything. And Sasuke, perhaps with Sakura, he wouldn't be so alone anymore. Maybe he'll open up more, and that piece of darkness in his mind that has been steadily growing will finally begin to fade away. Why, therefore, does it seem as though she just struck her chest with a Rasengan? Sasuke-kun, I'm so glad you're alright, I was so worried. For the first time since Team 7 was formed, Naruto felt uncomfortable and a headache was starting to grow. She detested that sensation. However, this is not the moment to indulge in self-pity. Tsunade still needed to be brought to Kakashi-sensei. She walked out of the room without saying anything else. Underscore 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 underscore. You've been avoiding me. She turned slowly in the direction of the voice before frowning as she froze, her keys only millimeters from the door lock. Have not. Sasuke leaped down from his position on the hallway window and said, yes, you have. Anyway, I thought you'd like to spar a bit. Shouldn't you be resting or something? The doctors gave me the all clear, you'd know too if you haven't been avoiding me. Disregarding his remark, she turned back to her door and unlocked it. Naruto entered slowly and fell onto her couch as she heard Sasuke shut the door behind him. I spent all day training, don't think I can move another inch. He took a seat next to her. Why have you been avoiding me? I have not been avoiding you, I've been busy, she said, letting out a frustrated grunt. You visited Kakashi. I didn't want to interrupt anything, Naruto muttered, leaning her head back against the couch and appearing as exhausted as she was. Interrupt what? She felt a little stupid and turned her head slightly to see his sincere bewilderment. How did you know I visited Kakashi? She asked. I asked him, when he first woke up. It took Sasuke 10 minutes or more to get Sakura to stop sobbing into his shirt. By the time he finally regained his composure, his blonde teammate had vanished. It took him an additional 4 days to summon the courage to ask Kakashi if he had seen Naruto. That knowing gleam in Kakashi's visible eye was something he detested. I only stayed down the hall, you could have dropped in or something. Sakura was visiting whenever I stopped by, so I didn't want to interrupt, Naruto said, turning away once more. You know Sakura. When is she not visiting? You could have come in anyways, sighed Sasuke in frustration. After he didn't hear back, Sasuke finally noticed Naruto's uneasy expression as one hand fiddled with her necklace. Oh, he said with a look of comprehension. Naruto sensed that her face was beginning to redden. I forgot about your fight, I guess you probably weren't really to talk to her just yet. Did Naruto really not understand? His eyes widened. She could see no evidence of mockery in his eyes. He truly didn't understand. She wanted to chuckle. She was undoubtedly relieved, but she was also disappointed for an inexplicable reason. Rather, she gave a foxy smile. Sasuke was immediately alert. Be glad I'm too tired to spar Uchiha, or I'd beat your ass into the ground 50 different ways in under 5 minutes. With chopsticks, he laughed. I'd like to see you try. Didn't know you had such a kinky side, Naruto. And my ass again, are you sure you are not obsessed? The words you total closet pervert, left Naruto speechless. If anyone's a pervert here, it's you. I am not a pervert. Denial. You are the one that's in denial. Sasuke arched an eyebrow, and Naruto felt a laugh rising in her breast. She leaned back against her couch again and laughed, and she could hear Sasuke laughing softly next to her. The last time the two of them joked like this seemed to be ages ago, and a lot has occurred since then. Naruto allowed her laughter to wane. Sasuke, yeah? Uncertain of how to begin, she paused before asking, are you alright? Last time I checked I seemed fine. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? I meant. Naruto moaned in exasperation as words tangled in her throat. Sasuke is skilled in subtlety, not her. That man, Uchiha Itachi, he's your brother, right? The air seemed to freeze around them as Sasuke stiffened. That's what you meant, yeah, she said as quietly as the tension was so intense that she could practically feel it against her skin during the brief quiet. I'm fine. She was briefly reminded of the occasion when Sasuke appeared to be dying while lying in her arms. His final remarks, you want to kill him, yes, he doesn't deny it, will you go after him? Sasuke remained quiet. If she peered carefully enough, she could almost see the swirls of red beneath the surface of his clouded eyes, which were seeing something that only he could see. Her teeth tightened, a sense of utter panic that threatened to explode. Don't, she found it difficult to speak. At least not yet, he's too powerful for you. In an attempt to keep her composure, Naruto closed her eyes. He'll ruin you. Panic burst out of her like a burst balloon. I can't lose you. As soon as she finished speaking, her eyes opened, and the room fell silent in shock. Her hard breathing was audible to her. Now that he knows, the ridiculousness of it all made her want to chuckle. She had just figured it out herself, therefore she didn't want to tell him in this way, or even worse, she didn't want to tell him at all. How much he meant to her, her own fist was covered by his hand, which she felt gently pulling apart the taut fingers before curling them into his own. You won't lose me, a sob began to gather in her throat. She gripped his hand tightly. With a choking "damn it, Sasuke" phrase, you won't lose me, she made an effort to think that she did, in fact. She occasionally felt that she might have gone a bit too far. She continued to wonder, though, who he was attempting to persuade, her or him.